Are US cryptocurrency companies treated differently in Canada? If you run a crypto exchange, wallet service, or blockchain platform from the United States, Canada may look like a natural next market. The question is whether Canadian rules treat you the same way as domestic players, or whether being a US crypto business puts you in a special category. In practice, Canadian regulators care less about your passport and more about what you are doing for Canadian users. Once you serve people in Canada, you are pulled into a mix of anti-money laundering, securities, and consumer protection frameworks that can feel stricter than what you are used to. Money services and anti-money laundering rules. From an anti-money laundering perspective, many crypto exchanges and certain wallet providers are treated like money services businesses. In Canada, that means registering with the Federal Financial Intelligence Unit, building a compliance program, identifying clients, monitoring transactions, and filing reports on suspicious or large movements of funds. For US crypto firms already dealing with US AML obligations, the concepts are familiar, but the details differ. Canada has its own registration process, reporting formats, and risk expectations. Being a foreign business does not exempt you. If you are directing services at Canadian residents or holding Canadian customer funds, regulators will expect you to either comply or stay out of the market. Securities law and trading platforms. On the securities side, Canada has taken a relatively assertive stance on crypto trading platforms. Where tokens are treated as securities or derivatives, platforms serving Canadian users may be required to register with provincial securities regulators, comply with platform rules, and implement specific custody, disclosure, and risk management measures. US platforms that simply open their doors to Canadian users without engaging with Canadian regulators can find themselves on the receiving end of local enforcement actions. Some have chosen to geo-block Canada entirely rather than adapt. Others have entered into registration or pre-registration undertakings tailored to the Canadian environment. The important point is that regulators focus on where your clients are and what you offer them, not just where your company is incorporated. Tax treatment of crypto activities. For income tax, Canada treats cryptocurrency as property, not as a separate currency issued by the state. Gains and income from crypto transactions are taxed based on their character and context, just like other forms of property. For a US crypto company with a Canadian subsidiary or permanent establishment, that means crypto-related profits connected to Canada fall into the Canadian corporate tax system along with everything else. On the indirect tax side, supplies of crypto services or digital platforms to Canadian customers may trigger GST/HST obligations if you are carrying on business in Canada or caught by digital economy rules. Even if trades themselves are outside the sales tax base, fees and services associated with trading can be taxable supplies. Banking and access to financial infrastructure. Another practical difference for US crypto companies in Canada is banking. Even when a crypto business is fully compliant, some Canadian banks are cautious about providing accounts, payment rails, or merchant services to the sector. Domestic firms face this too, but foreign firms can find it even harder to establish those relationships without a strong local presence and clear regulatory approvals. This is one reason some US crypto businesses choose to operate through a Canadian subsidiary that can build relationships with Canadian financial institutions over time rather than trying to run everything cross-border from a US entity. Consumer protection and marketing rules. Marketing crypto in Canada is also subject to consumer protection laws and, in some cases, specific guidance from securities and competition regulators. Claims about returns, risk, and security must be accurate and not misleading. US marketing materials that play close to the line at home may be judged more harshly when aimed at Canadian retail investors. You also have to consider language and regional requirements. In Quebec, for example, consumer-facing materials may need French versions, and local law can impose extra rules on standard form contracts and disclosures. Are US crypto firms treated differently? In a narrow sense, no. Canada applies the same frameworks to any firm serving Canadian users, whether it is local or foreign. But in practice, being a US crypto business does change your path. You may have to register as a foreign money services business, obtain securities approvals as a foreign platform, negotiate Canadian-specific banking relationships, and adapt your tax and compliance systems to a new set of rules. What you do not get is a tourist pass just because your headquarters is outside Canada. If anything, regulators may scrutinize foreign crypto firms more closely to ensure they are not using distance as a way to avoid oversight. Final thoughts. US cryptocurrency companies are not automatically banned from Canada, but they are not treated casually either. Once you target Canadian users, you are expected to navigate Canadian AML rules, securities regulation, tax obligations, and consumer protection standards on the same footing as local players. If Canada is an attractive market for your crypto platform, it is worth treating it as a regulated financial expansion, not just another geo on your app's dropdown. Our website has more detailed breakdowns of the regulatory paths crypto businesses typically follow when entering Canada, so you can see what doing it properly looks like before you commit. If you require assistance with Canadian tax matters, our team is ready to provide reliable professional support. Please contact us at 416-283-8774 or visit theaccountingandtax.com for more information. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.